Algebra 2, welcome back to another super exciting video from Chapter 11. We are moving in to Section 5. Hey guys, listen, I know that probability and all of this fun stuff and statistics, it might be wearing on you a little bit, but hey, just keep pushing, keep doing the best you can. Ask me questions if you got them in an email or through a personal message. I don't think we're going to be able to fit in a Zoom video prior to spring break, although you might be watching this already after spring break. But we're definitely going to be doing a Zoom video when you guys come back from spring break, making sure that we can catch everybody up and get you guys all on the right track. Okay, so today's video, we're covering Section 5. It's called Central Tendency and Variation. And we're going to be doing a lot of stuff with the calculator. So this is ultimately going to be helping you. So you're going to need to have the calculator and also this note over here, and you're going to need to have your textbook to follow along with me. So if you don't have those things, pause the video, get that stuff ready to roll right now. You have to have that calculator, textbook. That way we can actually get through this all together. Okay. So we're going to start off knowing there are 5 key terms from this section. As I said, I'm going to show you all the calculator stuff. And there are 2 more that I just wanted to reference. These are not highlighted key terms, but if you go to page 829, IQR stands for inner quartile range. I'm going to want you to write that down. I think they italicize the word and they give you a little definition there in a few sentences. Copy that down. And the other one you're going to need is on page 830, and that is a measure of variation. I just put MOV, measure of variation. I think it's near the bottom of that page. Again, it's italicized. Those are words that you're going to have to understand because they connect with other concepts. And if they ask you about that, you're going to need to understand what that means. And then there's other terms that you're going to use in those definitions. So you got to get all that stuff written down. It's going to be helping you a lot. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to be doing here is we're going to learn how to calculate expected values. Okay, calculating expected values, that's going to go with example problem number 2. I want to let you guys know examples 1A and 1B, you should be able to do those on your own. That's just like mean, median, mode, the range, which is like the lowest and the biggest. You're going to have to get those, although that was in the intro to Chapter 11 problems, and everybody seemed to do very well with that. So you got to get those because we keep using those in this section. So we're going to do example 2 right now because that goes with this concept right here. To calculate expected value, what we're going to do, so go ahead and have the textbooks open to page 829. We're going to be doing the example 2 problem there, and this is how we're going to get it done. Okay, so if you have your books open, what you're going to notice, it's saying the probability distribution of the number of accidents in a week at an intersection based on past data. It's given in that chart. All right. Basically, you just need the chart. All the words up above it, they're not really going to be helping you that much. The only thing you really need is the question right at the end that's basically just saying what is the expected number of accidents, otherwise known as the expected value. Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to multiply the probability of n. So if you look at the chart, what is the probability of n? They give it to you as 0.75, 0.15, 0.08, and 0.02, and you're going to multiply that by the number of n. And you're going to see number 2, I've already got it set up here for you. So in the calculator, this is really all you would have to plug in, making sure that you do have parentheses. The first number, that is the number of n, and then the second number is the probability of n. And so you're multiplying and then adding all of those answers together. Okay, so all I'm doing here again is you have the number of n multiplied by the probability of n, and you're going to add that to the next number of n times the probability of n. And you work all the way through, and you're going to end up getting this answer right here of 0.37. That's all you got to do to get the expected value. Number of n times the probability of n added to then the same thing, number of n, probability of n, and you do that with however many numbers they give you in the chart. Okay, so that's for number 2. Now, we're going to need the space for number 2, so I'm going to erase this because eventually we're going to need that to get into number 3 and then finish out with number 4. Now, all the rest of these notes here are stuff that you're going to be utilizing for numbers 3 and numbers 4, and this is all calculator related. Okay, so I'm going to move off to the side and pause it. If you haven't copied all this down, do that. Okay? All right, so this is a review right here. Remember how to make a list. All right, to make a list, this is the first button you're going to need to push. Push the Stat button, and then immediately you should already be in the Edit category. And then number 1, which is Edit, you push Enter. That's going to get you to the list, and that is where you're going to put all your values in for the L1 list. That's the first list, okay? So you'd put in all your values, do everything you need to do there, then L1 is taken care of, all right? Now this next thing is just a helpful tool to help sort your list in ascending order, okay? Smallest to biggest, all right? So ascending order is usually always what you're going to have for finding the mean or the median, the mode, all that stuff. It's going to be very helpful. So here's what you're going to do. For starters, all of this stuff is based upon you making that list first. So the list must be made first. Then you're going to hit Stat. You're going to go again into Edit because Edit is the very first category. Then you're going to take a look at number 2. All right, number 2 in the Edit category is what you want. Hit Enter. After you hit Enter, you're now going to be brought back to the regular, we'll call it the home screen, okay? But you have to tell it what to sort. It doesn't know that it needs to sort L1. So what you're going to then have to do is hit Second, and then go to literally the number 1 on the calculator. And what I'm talking about is you're going to hit Second, and then literally go to the number 1, and if you look up above it, it says L1. L1 is where our list was. So when you put that in, then hit Enter, and what it's done is it's gone back into your list, and it has now sorted your list in ascending order. The way you would get back to that again is you're going to hit Stat, and then after you hit Stat, you're going to go into Edit, and you're going to see the list. That list function right there is then going to be put into perfect ascending order. Okay, it might be helpful to have that. Maybe it saves you some time, and then you can go copy that down if that's one thing that'll help you. All right, next thing. If you guys want the easy way to calculate the mean, the median, what's my minimum number, what's my maximum number, the calculator will again do all of that for you. First step, put everything you need into the L1 list, always your first step. Then what you're going to do to calculate it is you're going to hit Second and Stat. All right? So again, that is the second, and then you're going to go over to Stat. And what you're really trying to get is the word list right up above it. Okay? So that's what I mean by here. Second Stat, in parentheses, I'm saying list. Then pick what you want. What do you want to solve for? The mean, the median, what's the minimum number, what's the maximum number? You pick the one you want, so then you'll hit Enter. Then again, you have to tell it what list is it looking at. So you go to Second, again, Second, and then the number 1, because really you want L1, and then hit Enter. And it'll calculate whatever you just asked it to do. Mean, median, min, max, whatever it may be. Okay, now this one is really important. The mean and the standard deviation, okay? This is important because if you tried to do this longhand, it's a lot of calculations where if you make one simple mistake, the whole thing is ruined, okay? So again, you already have your list, step one. Then, to calculate either the mean or the standard deviation, this will do both at the exact same time for you. You're going to do, again, the Stat button, and then you're going to move to the right until it goes to the Calculate category. And then the first one in the Calculate category should look like this, 1-var stats, okay? Then you're going to hit Enter, and it will immediately populate the home page with all the info that you asked for. You don't have to go back in and do this thing here with the second one, L1. It'll know I'm calculating a whole lot of things, okay? These are the two symbols you care about most. You got an X with a line up above it. That is actually representing the mean of the list. And then you're going to have the little, I believe, a theta symbol over here next to X. This guy next to X equals the standard deviation. So that's going to equal another number, vitally important, that it's going to be asking for. This part right here, we're going to use on number 4, all right? And on number 3, which we're up to now, let's take a look at it, okay? So what I've already done is put every number in ascending order. And if you didn't remember how to do it, or you wanted the calculator to do it for you, I did that. So I plugged it into the list, I told the calculator to sort it, and then it put every number perfectly in ascending order. All right, so I'm going to go right down here and walk you guys through number 3, and we are on page 830, okay? So our values here are given already in ascending order. It's going to ask us to make what's called a box and whisker plot, all right? So the box and whisker plot tells you what's the minimum number, tells you what's the maximum number, it tells you what the median is, so in other words, the middle number, and then it's going to tell you these other parts where it's going to say a lower quartile, an upper quartile, and then this word over here, you're going to calculate what's called the interquartile range. We're going to do all that in this one problem. So, step 1, what's our lowest number? It's 11, okay? So that means we are using the 11. So I'm going to put a dot right here, and I'm going to start making a number line, okay? I'm going to make a number line that will go that far, and we're going to fill in some values in this number line, okay? So if we're going to say that this dot is representing 11 right here, 11, then I'm going to say my lowest, I'm just going to say that's 10. But I don't really care that that's 10. I'm just saying that's 10 because it lets me know that, oh, the next number next to it should be 11. All right? And we're going to have to go all the way over and have the biggest number in this case be, let's say, our 23. Okay? Right here. So if we fill them in, we have 11, let's go 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Okay, so we're filling in our little number line here. 11's been used, so we're good with that. The 23, that's our biggest number. It has been used, so we're good with that. And I'm circling the numbers that are all used because you don't use them again. All right, the next thing that you're going to do is calculate the median. And one of the easiest ways, if you guys don't even want to use the calculator to it, you can just count all the way. By the way, I just realized that number 3 might be confusing, so I'm going to put 3 over here. That's problem 3. All right, you could just count and say, what is the middle number? Literally counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That doesn't get us to the middle. Let's try 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Boom. So right there, 14, that's our median. That's our middle number. But notice I have 3 of them. So all of these guys are now used up. 14 is our median, okay? So you got 11, 12, 13, 14 is right here, okay? So what we are starting to figure out is the lowest possible number is here. The biggest possible number is here. Really, I should have put that dot right up above it. Don't want that to confuse you guys, okay? So now, the whiskers, if you take a look in your book, basically imagine that it's like making the picture of like a cat. You got box in the middle and whiskers on the outside. So what we're starting to create is here's a whisker. That's the smallest number. Here's a big other whisker out here. That's the biggest number, okay? The next thing we're looking at creating is finding what's called the lower quartile. The lower quartile is going to be the median of the smallest numbers that are left over. We already used 11, right? So 11, we can't count that one anymore. We used it. 14s, we already used these guys, so we're not going to count them. What we're looking at here is trying to figure out what is the leftovers of what we got here, okay? And what we're looking at is the median number. Let's see, look at my calculation. Should be 13. 13 is the median of the lower quartile. That is the median of the lowest half of numbers that are left over. So we're going to put a dot above 13. Okay. Next, we have to figure out what's called the upper quartile. And the upper quartile is basically the median of the biggest numbers that are left over. And what we're looking at here is between 15 and 22. Those are the numbers that are left over. And it looks like our median of those is going to end up being 18. Okay? So we got 15, 16, 17, 18 right here. That is now what's called our upper quartile. Okay? A good example problem, this is coming from example 3, top of page 830. All right? Now what we're going to start to do is create the box and the whiskers. This is one of the whiskers. The minimum value connected to the lower quartile. That is a whisker. Now we're creating the box. And the box is created by going from the lower quartile to the upper quartile. And then wherever the median value is, you draw a line right through it. And we have our last whisker going from the upper quartile to the maximum value, which was 23. Okay? Now, we're almost done with this. We have the minimum, we have the lower quartile, we have the median, the upper quartile, and the maximum. And the final question they ask us in this is, what is the interquartile range? All right, the interquartile range. You get that by taking the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. So the upper quartile is 18, and we're going to subtract the lower quartile, which is 13, meaning the interquartile range is 5. Okay? So again, we had to make this whole box and whisker plot first by putting our number in ascending order, smallest to biggest. Then calculating smallest number, largest number, and then the median. Those are the 3 values you're going to want to get first. Once you have those, you can then look closer and calculate what is the lower quartile, and then go and calculate what is the upper quartile. Okay? And then once all that's done, you can get the interquartile range. Okay, so that's for number 3. And we have one more problem to go. And this problem is going to be a lot faster than that last problem. So that's good. We're taking a look at number 4 here. Number 4, step 1, put all of the values they give you into the list. All right? So if you look on page 831, they give you the numbers that you're going to put in the list. So go ahead and take a moment, maybe pause the video, put those numbers in the list right now, okay? All right, so once you've put those numbers in the list, we're then going to do this last thing right here. Okay, all your numbers are in the list. It doesn't even matter if they're in ascending order. This one, you don't need to do that step. So what you're going to do is go to Stat, then to Calculate, and then to the number 1, which is 1-var stats. What you are then going to get is a whole little populated list. All right? Now, it's a little bit difficult for me to just like put the calculator up and show you the exact numbers, but I'll just show you again. Once you've put these in the list, you will then go to Stat, push that, and then once you go to Stat, you go to the right. That's Calculate, and number 1 is 1-var stats. Hit Enter again, and it's going to completely populate every value that you need. And the values that you care about the most are right here. That X with a bar is the mean, and when you get that, it should say 1.4. And then your standard deviation, this is going to be at the bottom of that list. And again, this is the symbol that you're going to get for that. And the standard deviation here, you're going to get more of an approximate value. This is kind of a long decimal. So an approximate value of about 1.6. Okay? Now, that covers it. That's all of section 5 right there for you. Now, like I said, we're going to have another Zoom conference to make sure that you guys are up to date, all the information hopefully is making a little bit more sense. Hopefully you take some time or took time over the break to review these concepts. That way we can pick up where we left off. Okay, miss you guys. Hope you guys are doing good. And like always, we'll see you in the next video.